My name is ANDI SYAHFIKAH. My magic number is B8231101. So I will start our presentation with what was of Mice and Men about. So first of all, John Steinbeck of Mice and Men is prominent tale of two migrant workers, George and Lenny, set against the backdrop of the Great Depression. So the novel explores themes such as friendship, isolation, dreams, and the struggle of the working classes. Through the story of George and Lenny's unique bond, Steinbeck offers a reflection on the fragility of human relationship and the challenge faced by those living in a harsh and competitive society. Other than that, in this novel, we can see George and Lenny's unique friendships. So George and Lenny's friendship stand out in a world where most workers are isolated and fend for themselves. So their relationship is unusual that other characters often remark on how rare it is for two men to travel and work together. Despite facing challenge such as Lenny's inability to control his strengths or understand his actions, George remains loyal, acting as both a protector and guide. So their bond is built on mutual reliance. So George provides leadership and Lenny's offer companionships. So the connection gives them hope and strength in a world that thrives on individualism and isolation. In this novel also, we can see the importance of their dreams. So the dream of owning a farm together symbolizes hope and a brighter future. George and Lenny frequently talk about their vision of a self-sufficient life complete with a vegetable garden and rabbit for Lenny to care for. So this dream is not just a plan for a better life, it is a source of comfort and unity that helps them endure the difficult circumstances. So unlike other workers who dream alone, George and Lenny share the aspiration, making it more significant. However, Lenny's tragic death not only in his life but also shattered the shared dreams lived by George to face grim reality on his own. Besides that, we can see the harsh reality of ranch life. So life on the ranch reveal the oppressive and isolating conditions faced by the worker. From the start, the boss is suspicious of George and Lenny's partnership, preferring worker to remain isolated and disconnected. Currently, the boss is so aggressive, press on those he perceives as weak, especially Lenny's. So while other workers like Crew, Candy, and Curly's wife are trapped by their own form of isolation and powerlessness, instead of unity, the workers are pitted against one another by fear and mistrust, creating a hostile environment where companionship is rare and survival often comes at the expense of others. So last, we can see the tragic climax. So the story reaches its tragic turning point when Lenny accidentally kills Curly's wife while trying to stroke her hair. So both characters are victims in the circumstance. Curly's wife, isolated and desperate for attention, seeks Lenny's company, while Lenny, unaware of his strength, only seeks comfort. So however, mistrust and fear between them lead a fatal incident. So the other worker already conditioned the suspect one another. So immediately assume Lenny's guilty and form a mob to hunt him down. So further showcasing the destructive power of fear and misunderstanding on this ranch. So in the final chapter, George finally finds Lenny at the pre-ranch hiding spot near the river. So knowing that Lenny's life in immediate danger for the angry mob, so George makes the difficult decision to kill Lenny himself to spare him for a cruel and violent death. So in the final moments, George comforts Lenny by describing their dream farm one last time, allowing Lenny to die with a sense of peace and hope. So however, George's action symbolizes the ultimate defeat of their shared dreams and friendship. So as the harsh realities of life prove the overwhelming of the idealized vision to survive. So in conclusion, Of Mice and Men is a powerful exploration of human relationship and the impact of isolation, fear, and mistrust. So through the story of George and Lenny, Steinbeck illustrates the strength of friendship and shared dream while highlighting how these bonds are often destroyed by the oppressive and competitive nature of society. So the novel serves as a timeless reflection on the struggle of the working class and the fragile nature of hope in a world filled with hardship and adversity. So now we continue our presentation with who were the main character. So I will share my thought on the two central characters of Mice and Men. So George Milton and Lenny Small. So these characters are not only unique in their individual traits, but it's also deeply connected in way they make their story both heartwarming and tragic. So let's dive into the characteristic and explore how the relationship shape the narrative. So let's start with George Milton. So George is a man of small stature, but his intelligent and quick thinking make him strong and capable character. So he often takes the lead navigating the challenges they face as a migrant worker. So George represents resilience, as he is always practical and focused on finding a solution to the problem. One of George's most defining role is being Lenny's protector. So he acts as a guide, caretaker, ensuring that Lenny stay out of trouble and providing him with direction in life. So although George sometimes show frustration with Lenny's actions, it's clear that he values their friendship deeply. This companionship gives George a purpose, something to hold on to in a world where loneliness is a common. So George also dreams of a better future, so a vision of owning a piece of land where he and Lenny can live in peace. So these dreams symbolize hope of and offer both characters a reason to keep going despite the hardship. So however, in the end, George makes a heart-wrenching decision to protect Lenny from a worse fate, showing his deep love and sense of responsibility. So now let's look at Lenny Small. So Lenny is physically the opposite George. He is tall and strong, also imposing. However, his mental disability makes him childlike and dependent on George for guidance and safety. So Lenny's innocence is one of his most striking traits. He loves soft things like petting animals, which reflect his desire for comfort and simplicity in a harsh world. Unfortunately, Lenny's innocence also becomes a source of conflict. He doesn't understand the consequences of his actions or his own physical strengths, which lead the unintentional harms. So this is evident in several accidents, from accidentally kill small animal to the tragic even with Curly's wife. So these actions set the stage for the story emotional climax. Despite his challenge, Lenny's trust in George unwavering. He looked up the George and believed in the shared dreams of owning lands, finding joy and comfort in the vision of tending rabbit in their farm. So his loyalty and dependence highlight the deep of their bond. So the relationship between George and Lenny in the heart of the story. So they rely on each other in a different ways, which is George find companionship and purpose in caring for Lenny, while Lenny depends on George for survival and emotional support. So their connection is a reminder of the importance of friendship and the sacrifice made for those they care about. So in conclusion, George and Lenny constructing traits, George particularly and leadership versus Lenny innocence and strengths. So this is create a powerful dynamic that drive the narrative. Together they represent the complexities of human relationship, the fragile of dreams, and the leg where we go for those we love. And that's all. Thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lim Meiyan and my number matrix is BA231101114, and I'm going to talk about question to respond. What did the main character do in the story? So here I'm going to talk to main character George Milton and Lenny Smalls. So the first one, I'm going to talk about George Milton. So what he did in the story is that he acted as Lenny, caretaker and protector throughout the story. So in this story, both of them are best friends, and Lenny, even though he's big and he's physically strong, but when it comes to mind, the way he thinks is like a child. He has a mental disorder and he often unaware of his consequential actions. And because of that, George always consistently look after Lenny. He makes sure that he stays out of trouble. So early in the story where there's a moment that George scold Lenny because he carrying a dead mouse. And this makes George saying, "You're gonna get sick like you was last night." So here it shows that George's role as a caregiver and keeping Lenny safe and healthy. Another one when Lenny causing a trouble when he accidentally grabbing the girl dress, and because of that they escape and run away, and they escape safely and find a new job. So the second one that George did is that he tries to secure work for both of them by speaking on Lenny's behalf. So here is because of both of them running away from their job because of Lenny causing trouble, and right now they have to find a new job. So at the ranch, George answers all the boss questions to protect Lenny for revealing his mental limitations. As I say before that Lenny has a mental disorder, so he really makes sure that the boss doesn't know that Lenny has a mental disorder. So he tells the boss he ain't bright, but he's a hell of a good worker. George saying this is to make sure that both of them get the job. The third one where George did is he share and nurture the dream of owning a farm. So here's where George repeatedly tells Lenny about their dream of owning a piece of land where they live off fatter the land. So he does this to comfort Lenny, especially when he is distressed. We see in the opening chapter and during their final conversation. The fourth point is that where George stepped in the tense situations. So here's that George tells Lenny to get himself far away from Curly. So George saying that if he's come here, you move clear to other side of the room. So George saying like that is because to prevent happen conflict between Lenny and Curly. There's one part where Lenny confront with Curly, and all of a sudden there's a fight between both of them. And sudden George came and shout to Lenny by saying, "Get him, Lenny." So here's that George makes sure that Lenny defend himself without going too far. So that was the climax of the story where there's a fight between both of them. So the last one that George did in the story is that he's in a devastating act of mercy, and he shot Lenny. So this can be found in the last chapter where George finds Lenny hiding near the rivers after he accidentally kills Curly's wife. So because of that, after happening that, George knows that something will happen where he will find Lenny and kill him because of him mad that Lenny killed his wife. And George doesn't want something bad happen to Lenny. So what George did is tell Lenny to look out at the river and imagine their dream farm. As Lenny is comforted by the vision, George shot him in the back of the head to give him peaceful death. So what can I say that in this example shows that George's actions and how they are motivated by his loyalty, love to Lenny, and his struggle to navigate the harsh reality of their world. For the second main character is Lenny Small. So in this story, Lenny shows that he is physically strong, but he also struggles with self-control. So in this story, it shows that Lenny's physical strength is unmatched, but he cannot control it, which is leading to unintentional harm. His action, not innocent in intent, often have serious consequences. For example, in chapter 3 where Lenny crushed Curly's hand. So here's that happened a fight between Lenny and Curly, and at the first, Lenny didn't fight it back, but then until George told Lenny to fight him back, he fight back that he cannot control itself. So when Lenny finally defends himself, so he crushed Curly's hand with his strength. So the second one, what Lenny did is he gets into trouble because of his fascination with soft things. So here's that Lenny, his obsession over something that's soft texture, that's make him causing a trouble, as he does not understand boundaries or the consequences of his action. For the example, we can see in the chapter 1 incident in wheat. So what happened in here is that Lenny saw a girl wearing a dress, and he is fascinated the dress, and he touched the dress, because he want to feel the softness of the dress. And because of that, the girls panic, and Lenny freezes and doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't let go of the dress. So the girl accused him of assault. This make George and Lenny have to run away to another town to escape. There's a quote that's saying by Lenny that he just wants to feel the dress, just like he pet the mouse. So number 3, what Lenny did in the story is that his dream of tending rabbits on the farm. So Lenny's greatest dream is to tend rabbits on the farm. So these dreams symbolize his desire for safety, comfort, and sense of purpose. Throughout the novel, actually both of them, Lenny and George, they were unsure about their dream, so they keep repeat tales about the dream of owning a farm. So it shows that in chapters 1, where Lenny told George to repeatedly tell him about the farm, so it makes Lenny excited about it. It makes Lenny excitedly exclaim, "Live off the fata and land and have a rabbits." Number 4, where is a climax where Lenny accidentally kills Curly's wife. Because of Lenny's fascination over soft things and his inability to control, his strength lead to the accidental killing Curly's wife. By this, it triggering the novel's tragic climax. For the example, it shows in chapter 5. So in the barn, Curly's wife allowed Lenny to stroke her hair. When he grips too tightly, she's panicked and Lenny in his fears. He tries to silence her, but the result in him accidentally breaking her neck. There's a one quote that's saying by Lenny to Curly's wife, "Don't you go yelling," he said, and he shocked her, and her body flopped like a fish. The number 5 is Lenny obeys to George's instruction to hide by the river. Now here's after that Lenny accidentally killing Curly's wife, and Lenny becomes scared because Curly minds kill him. So he relies on George, guidance, and remembers George's specific instruction to hide near the river if he gets into trouble. So the example is chapter 6. After the incident by killing Curly's wife, Lenny runs to the river. He waits there for George, and believing that George fixed everything as he always has. So in here, what can be analysis for what Lenny did in the story? Lenny's action shows that his innocence and vulnerability, making him a tragic figure. His physical strength, coupled with his mental limitation, leads to unintentional harms that drive the story conflict. His dream of tending rabbits and his reliance on George highlights his simplicity and dependence, making his fate deeply moving and heartbreaking. For this part, I'm going to talk about did the main characters run into any problems or adventures. So the main character, George Milton, the problem that he faces is that he is burdened of responsibility. So as we know that his role is as Lenny protector and define their relationship, but it's also a significant burden. So here's that he is deeply cares for Lenny, but the responsibility of looking after someone with limited understanding and control is overwhelming. So here is a bit of explanation. George, he is constantly has to anticipate and manage the consequences of Lenny's actions. While he dreams of independence, he repeatedly sacrifices his own desire to care for Lenny. And because of that, the burden is not just practical, like finding work or staying out of problem, but also emotional. So George must remind Lenny of their dream to keep him motivated, even when George sometimes that he was doubt about it. George's frustration surfaces throughout the novel, often in the form of sharp remarks toward Lenny. However, his action reveal his deep care and a sense of moral to protect Lenny from harm, so both for others and himself. So here's an example for chapter 1. So in chapter 1, George feel frustration with Lenny behavior is evident as they came near the river. So here's that Lenny wants to keep a dead mouse that he's been petting, but George demands he hands it over. And because of that, it makes George say this. There's a quote that's saying by George to Lenny, "God, you're a lot of trouble," say George. "I could get along so easy and so nice if I didn't have you on my tail. I could live so easy and maybe have a go." So here's that George expressed the burden of being with Lenny, that he wishing for easier life. Despite his words, he never truly considered leaving Lenny because he valued their friendship and feels responsible for him. Now for the second burden that George face is that dream versus reality. So here's that George and Lenny dreams of owning a small farm, but they realize that they are migrant workers. So for George it's impossible for them to have a farm because they are migrant, and the reality is harsh. For George, the dream serves both as a way to keep Lenny motivated and as a hope for a better future. A bit of explanation: the dreams that George to have a farm is that it gives a meaning to their difficult lives between George and Lenny together. So it represents an escape for the exploitations and loneliness of being migrant workers. However, George realized that whenever he discussed the dream, he knows that he feels that they face financial, society challenges and Lenny behaviors, which make the dream impossible to make it happen. So for the example is in chapter 3. So in chapter 3, George and Lenny describe their dream in detail to Candy, who offers to contribute his saving to make the dream a reality. So there's a quote that's saying by George, "We have our own place where we belong and not sleep in no bug house." George say, "Tell about what we gonna have in the garden, about the rabbits in the cage, and about the rain in the winter and the stove." So when George says that, he feels a hope that the dreams will becoming real. But somehow the hope become fragile after Lenny accidental kills Curly's wife. So this shows that the harsh realities of their lives and how external circumstance shatters their hope. Now I'm going to talk about Lenny's small problems that he faced in the story. So Lenny is a childlike innocence and immense physical strength make him a danger to himself and those around him. So his lack of understanding of social norms and his inability to understand his action result to unintended consequences. Lenny's actions are not malicious, but his inability to control his impulse makes him often leads to conflict, danger, and tragedy. a little bit of explanation that here's that Lenny fascination with soft things such as small animals or people clothing that symbolize his innocence and longing for comfort. However, he does not understand his own strength and unintentionally harms for what he loves. For the example, we can say is in chapter 5. So in chapter 5, Lenny accidentally kills Curly's wife. So while he trying to stroke her hair, he becomes frightened when she panics and tries to scream. This lack of control also extends to his social interaction, where he fails to recognize boundaries or the consequences of his behavior. And because of that, George, both of them are best friends. So George is the one who always protect and make sure that Lenny always stay out of problem that can make caused by his actions. So this moment highlights that Lenny's inability to control his physical strength and respond how to react it because of that. So because he only wanted to touch her hair as he enjoyed its softness, but his fear and lack of understanding leads the situations into tragedy. So the second one is tragic outcome, which is leads to Lenny's fate. And so here, because of that, Lenny lack of control his and ability to handle the consequences of his action leads to the tragic conclusion of Mice and Men. So his innocence and immense strength create a dangerous combinations, as his intentions are never malicious, but often result in harm. This that we can see when Lenny accidentally killed Curly's wife, which trigger a chain reactions that seals Lenny's fate. For the explanation, Lenny's tragic flows in his inability to control his strength and understand the social norms. So for the beginning, the incidents such as killing mice or scares a girl in a weed shows that his ability to make his around safely because of his inability to control. So the example that we can see is in chapter 5, where the tragic happened, where Lenny accidentally kills Curly's wife. After Lenny accidentally kills Curly's wife, and Curly's know about it, this act sets the final tragedy in motion. So Curly immediately organized a mob to hunt Lenny's down, and George realized that there is no escape or protection for Lenny anymore. So in the story, final chapter, George make the painful decision to shoot Lenny himself, so sparing him for a brutal death. So this heartbreaking conclusion emphasizes the inevitability of the tragic outcome and highlights the themes of mercy, sacrifice, and the fragility of dream in a harsh world.
Okay, for the first question is, can you relate to any of the character in this story? The answer is yes. An example is George Militant. Just desire for independence and better life is something that many people can identify with. His role as guardian for Lenny also highlight the themes of responsibility and loyalty, which can be related to anyone who has care for others. George is intelligent, observant, and careful, which make him the perfect guardian for Lenny. This aspect of George's personality is important in their friendship, as he ensures Lenny's safety and well-being. I can relate to George's character. I can relate to George's character as a friend who helped his friend in trouble. And the second question is, have you ever done or felt the things that the character did? My answer is still yes, because I always have a protective instinct like George, who tried to protect his best friend, whether it's family member, friends, or pet. The instinct to protect other is one of the things that I do and I have felt. The second things I feel is loyalty and friendship. This is because my friends and I want them to continue our education to get a better life. This is just like George and Lenny, who had common dreams of owning a farm. This clearly shows the symbolism, the loyalty of a friends relationship.
Hello, my name is SYLVEANESSA BONIPASIUS and my matrix number is BA231100147. So your opinion, did you like the book? Yes or no, and why? Yes, I absolutely like this book of Mice and Men. John Steinbeck novel masterfully captured the complex side of human relationship, dreams, and struggle during the Great Depressions. I'd like to share why I really enjoyed Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It's such a powerful and memorable story, and here are the reasons why. First, I love how the book explored the friendship between George and Linnie. Their bond is so unique and heartfelt, especially during a time when life was incredibly hard for so many people. George's dedication to looking after Linnie despite the challenge showed the depth of human compassion. Another reason is the way Steinbeck portrays the themes of dreams. George and Linnie dream of owning a piece, but the story also highlights how hard it is to achieve dreams, especially for those who are marginalized. This makes it readable and timeless. Lastly, I love how the book stays with your emotionally. The ending is heartbreaking but meaningful, leaving you to reflect on morality, sacrifice, and the harsh realities of life. It's rare for a story to evoke such strong emotion. Overall, the Of Mice and Men is beautifully written story that teach us much about friendship, dreams, and human nature. Next, what was your favorite part of the book? My favorite part of Mice and Men is when George describes the dreams of owning their own piece of land to Linnie. This moment is so powerful because it captures their shared hope and provides a sense of maximum in an otherwise bleak world. It's one of the rare times when both characters allow themselves to believe in the better future. So you can see the uh, word in my slide. So this part is both hopeful and heartbreaking. It highlights their deep bond and their long for stability and freedom. However, as the story unfolds, it becomes clear how fragile their dream is, making this moment even more poignant and hindsight. Thank you.